Hello, fourth grade. Get excited. Yes, because we are going to take everything that we have learned so far this chapter and we are going to apply them in real life situations. Whoop, whoop. All right, so we're going to do word problems. Make sure you have workbook page 315 that says fractions in problem solving. Should look like the one on the screen. If it doesn't, then you tore out the wrong page or you have the wrong page in front of you. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and work through these because we already know everything we need to know to be able to figure these out. So let's look at number 1. Oh, before we do, let's read the directions. Solve and label. Write equations or draw pictures to help you solve. All right, so I'm going to guide you through this first word problem, and then I'm going to let you do the next two yourselves, but I'm going to guide you just so you know how we're going to attack these. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at this. I'll call it the green story because it's in a green box. Okay? It says, grandfather gave one package of cookies to his 6 grandchildren. The package contained 24 cookies. He told them to share the cookies equally. All right, well, how many cookies are in the package? Yes, 24. Okay, how many children are sharing the cookies? 6. So, into how many groups or sets of equal amounts should the 24 cookies be distributed? You're right, it would be 6 because there are 6 grandchildren. So let's take a look at number 1. What fraction of the package will each child receive? Okay, remember, there's 24 cookies, and we're dividing them into so that 6 children can receive cookies, equal amounts of cookies. So what would the fraction be of the 24 cookies? If you said 1/6, you are right. Okay. So let's look at number 2. How many cookies will each child receive? Well, do you remember our previous lesson? It would look like it would be 1/6 of 24 cookies is what? And that's what it would look like yesterday in our lesson. And that is what it looks like to figure it out. So how would we write it out to make it easy to figure out? Well, we take the whole 24 and we're going to divide it by the amount of sets we need to divide it into, which is 6. What is 24 divided by 6? It's 4. Now this is a word problem, and it says, how many what? Cookies will each child receive? So we're going to use our label word, cookies. They want to know how many cookies, so we found out how many. It is 4, but we have to say cookies, so he doesn't think that they're bananas or raisins or something else, whoever's asking the question. So 24 whole divided by 6 sets equals 4 cookies for each child. That's great. Okay, so number 3, let's look at that. The first day, the children ate 1/2 of the 24 cookies. How many cookies did they eat that day? So let's write that down like we would if we needed to figure that out. Okay. Now, you guys could probably just do this in your head, but let's think about how you would figure it out using fractions in our previous lessons. Okay. So 1/2, it would 1/2 of 24 would be what? That would be the whole 24 divided by the denominator, the number of sets, 2 equals 12. And now we need our label word. How many what? Cookies. So 12 cookies is the answer. You must have the label word for it to be correct. And then that's it. We've answered all of the questions. Okay, so you try to figure out the purple story. Charlotte has a ribbon that is 48 inches long. She used 1/4 of the ribbon for a bow. She used 1/3 of the ribbon for a craft project. And use that information to answer 4, 5, and 6. Pause the screen, figure it out, and then unpause, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so let's answer number 4. How many inches did she use for her bow? Well, it tells us that she used 1/4 of the ribbon for a bow, and the total amount of ribbon that she bought was 48 inches long. So what you should have done was written it as 1/4 of 48, or 48 divided by 4 was 12 inches. So she used 12 inches for her bow. How many inches did she use for her craft project? She used 1/3 of the ribbon of those 48 inches, and that comes out to 16 inches. And then number 6, how much ribbon was left after she made the bow and the craft project? So this first part right here, I had to figure out how much, or you had to figure out also how much she used total. And then this next part right here, you subtracted how much she used from the total she bought, and then that gave you what was unused, or what was left, which is 20 inches. So that was a 2-stepper. All right, so now you're going to do this peachy box. It says, Kiera practiced her cello 2.5 hours the first week and 1.25 hours the next week, or 1 1/4. Asia practiced 2.25 hours the first week. And then go ahead and answer 7, 8, and 9. And pause, figure it out. When you're all finished, unpause, we'll go over the answers. So let's look at our answers. Number 7, how many hours did Kiera practice in all? 3 3/4 hours. Remember, we had to change 2.5 so the denominators matched. Okay, and it became 2 2/4. Okay, so it would be 2 2/4 plus 1 1/4, and that's how I got the 3 3/4 hours, 3 3/4. Okay, same thing with number 8. How many more hours did Kiera practice the first week than the second week? It is 1 1/4, or 1 1/4 hours. And remember, we had to change this one here so that the denominators matched. And it became 2 2/4. So 2 2/4 minus 1 1/4 is 1 1/4 hours. Number 9, who practiced more the first week, Kiera or Asia? It was Kiera. And that is because 2.5 is greater than the 2 1/4 that Asia practiced. All right, so we finished the first page. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let's do the back. Now, these are recipes that you can actually make. All right. They're real recipes. This first one is a cereal mix-up. And if you were to create it using these ingredients and these amounts, you would make exactly what the recipe says. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that recipe, and your moms and your dads, whoever does the cooking, does this all the time. Okay, sometimes if they want to make more of something, they have to double the recipe. So we're going to do that. We're going to take these recipes and we're going to double them. I'm going to do this first one with you, not the whole thing. I'm going to do number 1 with you, the corn cereal squares. But let's take a look at what it says. It says, let me make it bigger. Emily and Miles planned a Sunday school party. They made cereal mix-up. They doubled each ingredient in the recipe to have enough for the party. And here are the ingredients. Here's the recipe. And this is what you're going to write in. You're going to double those fractions. Okay, so if you look here, the rice cereal squares, they needed 2.5 cups in the original recipe. To double that, it came out to 5 cups. Okay, so now we're going to double 2 1/4 corn squares. And what is the answer? What is the answer if you double 2 1/4? It would be 4 2/4 cup. Don't forget to put your C there for cup. Must have your units. All right. Some of you that bake, you might already know that a 4th cup plus another 4th cup is a half, and that's okay. You could say 4 1/2. That's also correct, because a half is another way to name 2/4. Okay, so you're going to figure out the rest of this recipe, then you're going to double the Fruity Punch recipe, and then the Game Munchies recipe. And then turn that in, and you also need to do your homework page 233 so that you can have lots of practice. Yes. All right. Well, until next time, have a lot of fun doing these, and they are fun. All right, we'll see ya.